You stand on a world that has been systematically murdered, frozen, poisoned, and set ablaze. Yet, it still breathes. Look at the solid ground beneath your feet. You are standing on a planetary graveyard, built from the ashes of 10 absolute global annihilations. It is a paradox of deep time. The biosphere you know only exists because of the catastrophes that erased what came before. Life thrives on the edge of its own extinction. From oceans turned to boiling acid, to ice ages that smothered the globe for millions of years, the history of Earth is a chronicle of survival against impossible odds. Today, we unearth the 10 times our planet was pushed to the absolute brink. And the countdown begins with event number 10, a silent, pervasive cataclysm that fundamentally rewrote the atmosphere of a young, suffocating Earth. 2.4 billion years ago, the first great mass extinction wasn't caused by an asteroid, but by breath. The early Earth was an alien, suffocating place. Methane seas boiled beneath an orange, toxic sky devoid of oxygen. But in the shallow, sickly oceans, a radical new life form was multiplying. These cyanobacteria were microscopic architects, harnessing raw power from sunlight. They drank in light and exhaled a highly reactive, toxic byproduct into the water, oxygen. To the anaerobic microbes that dominated the entire planet, this invisible gas was a rapidly spreading, inescapable poison. The new atmosphere oxidized the iron in the oceans, precipitating massive rust bands, before bleeding into the sky above. The methane greenhouse collapsed completely, entirely stripped away by oxygen. Temperatures plummeted catastrophically, freezing the oceans from pole to pole. This was the Huronian glaciation, locking Earth in ice for eons. Countless species perished in a frozen wasteland. Life barely survived in deep ocean thermal refuges, hiding from the cold. But this suffocating ice was merely a rehearsal for the freezer of number 9. 443 million years ago, the global ocean is a greenhouse teeming with predators. Then, a sudden, catastrophic ice age grips the southern supercontinent. Sea levels plummet by hundreds of feet, draining the continental shelves. Vast, sunlit reef systems of early corals are fully exposed to the freezing air, suffocating in the chilling winds. As the titanic ice sheets expand, oceanic circulation completely stagnates, dragging toxic, oxygen-starved dead zones into the shallows. 85% of all marine species vanish from the record. This is the first true mass extinction, driven not by cosmic impact, but by a sudden, lethal global chilling. Entire dynasties of giant nautiloids and trilobites are erased forever. The few survivors huddle in deep water sanctuaries, waiting out a seemingly endless freeze. Life is nearly annihilated before it can even colonize the land. But a suddenly frozen planet is only one extreme path. As the ice thaws, an entirely different suffocation by plants awaits in Event 8. 445 million years ago, the oceans are a teeming, vibrant cradle of bizarre and alien life. Giant orthocones, shelled predators the size of school buses, prowl the shallow inland seas, covering much of the planet. But the vast continents are drifting, silently conspiring against this aquatic paradise. The supercontinent Gondwana slides over the South Pole, plunging the warm climate into a severe, deep freeze. Massive glaciers rapidly form, locking up the world's water. Global sea levels plummet by an astonishing 100 meters. The sunlit continental shelves, teeming with countless marine species, evaporate. Deprived of their shallow coastal homes, 85% of all marine species are abruptly eradicated without warning. Entire families of trilobites and brachiopods are simply erased forever. Then, the massive glaciers suddenly melt. Sea levels rebound, but the returning waters are completely stagnant, toxic, and anoxic. The weary survivors of the freeze are promptly asphyxiated by their own warming oceans. It is the first true apocalypse in the fossil record, but this chilling apocalypse is merely a prelude to the Devonian collapse. Almost 400 million years ago, the greatest weapon against marine life was not an asteroid. It was trees. Deep roots of the earliest trees pulverized rock into fine soil. Rivers choked with this fertile sediment bled directly into the sea. This sudden influx of phosphorus and nitrogen triggered an unprecedented algal bloom, suffocating the shallow, sunlit Devonian reef systems. Beneath the emerald scum, the ocean was drained of oxygen. A suffocating dead zone expanded across the entire globe. The apex predators of the age, the terrifying armored placoderms, simply gasped and drowned. Every great biological innovation carries a catastrophic tax. The greening of the land choked the ancient seas. 75% of all species vanished into the suffocating sludge. It took 36 million years for the coral reefs to recover from this creeping botanical apocalypse. But the late Devonian collapse was a slow burn, unfolding across hundreds of thousands of dark, agonizing, silent years. Earth would not be so lucky when the mantle itself decided to tear open. And that brings us to the Permian annihilation. Disaster number 6. 201 million years ago, the colossal supercontinent of Pangaea began to violently tear itself apart. A gargantuan continental rip formed along what is now the Atlantic Ocean, unleashing the Central Atlantic magmatic province. Over 600,000 brutal years, the deep fissures vomited enough lava to bury the continental United States entirely. But the magma itself wasn't the true killer. These apocalyptic eruptions expelled billions of tons of atmospheric carbon dioxide. Global temperatures quickly skyrocketed by nearly 10 degrees Celsius. The oceans absorbed this lethal carbon, becoming brutally acidic rapidly. Ancient coral reefs literally dissolved into the toxic ocean waters. This rapid thermal chokehold wiped out 76% of all species, completely resetting the planet's evolutionary board. Giant, crocodile-like phytosaurs simply vanished, leaving a vast ecological vacuum for a minor, agile, reptilian lineage to exploit. Out of this acidic planetary fever dream, the mighty age of the dinosaurs was born. They would reign absolutely unchecked for over 100 million years. Earth would slowly heal, forging vibrant new ecosystems from ashes. But even the mighty dinosaurs couldn't survive what awaits us at number 5. 201 million years ago, the supercontinent of Pangaea begins to violently tear itself apart. A massive rift system, thousands of miles long, unzips the crust, birthing the Central Atlantic magmatic province. Curtains of lava surge across an area larger than modern North America, burying ancient ecosystems in basalt. But the molten rock itself isn't the primary engine of global death. As the lava intrudes through subterranean carbon sinks, it boils them alive. Billions of tons of greenhouse gases choke the upper atmosphere. Global temperatures spike by 6 degrees Celsius in a geological instant. Ocean acidification aggressively corrodes marine life. Corals vanish entirely from the fossil record for millions of years. On land, the dominant crocodile-like pseudosuchians are utterly wiped out of existence. 76% of all living species perish in this hyperthermal choking event. The dinosaurs barely survive, inheriting a scorched and emptied world. Yet, their own spectacular demise in the future will become our 4th catastrophic brush with total planetary annihilation. 201 million years ago, the supercontinent of Pangaea begins to tear itself apart at the seams. This is the Central Atlantic magmatic province, a volcanic titan. It unleashes the largest eruption in history, flooding 4 million square kilometers with an ocean of basalt. But the molten rock is only the first deadly phase. The gigantic rifts vent unimaginable volumes of carbon dioxide, violently superheating the global climate and turning the atmosphere toxic. Severe ocean acidification violently ravages the seas, wiping out reef-building sponges and ancient corals. Half of all known marine and terrestrial species suddenly vanish, abruptly clearing the ecological stage for a devastatingly successful new dynasty, the dinosaurs, who seize the smoldering ashes of the world. They will rule completely unchallenged for over 135 million years, until the cosmos itself suddenly intervenes to rewrite the bloody rules. Now, we arrive at event number 3, where a 6-mile-wide asteroid comes hurtling straight out of the deep, cold, black. 201 million years ago, the supercontinent Pangaea begins to violently tear itself apart at the seams. The Central Atlantic magmatic province erupts on an apocalyptic scale. More than 2 million cubic miles of lava flood the surface. But the real killer is the invisible gas. Billions of tons of carbon dioxide and sulfur choke the global atmosphere. Global temperatures surge by almost 10 degrees, turning oceans into stagnant graveyards. The acidification of the seas wipes out massive reef systems, causing a catastrophic collapse of the marine food web. On land, heavily armored reptiles, the dominant predators of their era, are completely outpaced by shifting climates. 76% of all terrestrial and marine species vanish from the fossil record. But in the smoldering aftermath of this continental rupture, the ecological slate is wiped clean for a new dynasty. The dinosaurs, once marginal survivors, inherit an empty world ripe for conquest. They will rule unchallenged for the next 135 million years. But their magnificent reign will ultimately be shattered by an event so sudden and violent, it defies earthly comprehension. 252 million years ago, the Earth's crust violently tears open, unleashing a geological nightmare across Siberia. Massive volcanic fissures vomit unimaginable volumes of basaltic lava, flooding an area the size of Europe in molten rock. But the magma itself isn't what brings Earth to its knees. It's what the molten rock ignites as it pushes upward. The lava incinerates vast subterranean coal basins, venting gigatons of carbon dioxide and toxic sulfur into the suffocating atmosphere. Global temperatures violently spike by 10 degrees Celsius. The oceans turn lethally hot, losing almost all their life-giving oxygen. Corrosive acid rain dissolves the forests. In the seas, 96% of all marine species simply vanish. On land, 7 out of 10 terrestrial vertebrate species are decimated. The Great Dying remains the closest life comes to annihilation. It takes 10 million years for the biosphere to truly recover. Yet, even this unparalleled catastrophe was the work of nature. Nothing could prepare the planet for what comes next. A conscious, unstoppable biological force is about to initiate the final, ongoing crisis, driving us into event number 1. We arrive at the most rapid biological collapse in planetary history, and the only one engineered by conscious intelligence. In a single century, monitored vertebrate populations plummeted 69%. Unlike the asteroid that shattered the Cretaceous, this cataclysm does not strike from space. It rises from the concrete. Humanity has permanently altered 50% of all habitable land for agriculture. Global oceans absorb 1 million tons of carbon dioxide every hour, acidifying waters faster than the Great Permian dying. Coral reefs, the crucial nurseries of the sea, starve white. amphibian lineages vanish into the dark, struck down by deadly fungal plagues spread inadvertently through our global shipping networks. Today, wild mammals represent a mere 4% of global biomass. The remaining 96% is comprised entirely of modern humans, and the livestock we systematically breed to feed ourselves. We are aggressively pulling the planetary life support systems apart now. This is the undeniable reality of the sixth mass extinction. Will Earth recover? The final synthesis holds our ultimate fate. 10 times, the ledger of life was nearly wiped clean. From the suffocating iron oceans of the Great Oxidation to the fiery skies of the Permian, Earth has proven to be a crucible of unimaginable violence. Yet, standing here at the precipice of the Anthropocene, we look back not merely at the sprawling graveyards of fallen biological empires, but at the resilient, defiant thread of survival that connects us to those ancient ashes. We are the first species with the power to see the asteroid coming, and the first with the choice to chart a different course. If you want to continue deciphering the deep-time secrets of our world, consider subscribing to Endless Form as we trace the ancient histories written in the rocks below. The sixth great dying is not a finalized chapter in the fossil record. It is unfolding in the background of our daily lives. So tell me, looking at the ghosts of Earth's past, what will be the legacy we leave in the stone?